Oh, hello. That is closer than I thought. Hello friends, welcome to the Mad About You YouTube channel. This is my Everything I Knit in 2024 video. If you're new here, my name is Madeline. I am coming to you today on the land of the Gubbi Gubbi people of the Sunshine Coast, and in the spirit of reconciliation I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. If this is your first time, what an interesting video to find me on. But yeah, this is going to be a quick recap of everything that I made in 2024, sorry. It is currently the 6th of January 2025. I have a number of projects here with me today that I have knit. I knit a bunch of gift knits as well. And so for that reason, I'll just show you what I've got and we'll talk about the others that I don't have. In 2024, my voice gone to sleep. I used 3,585 meters of yarn. This is a conservative guess or calculation based off my Ravelry notes. Sorry, my brain left the building right then. Yeah, so based on Ravelry notes, I knit 13 projects, which are it's really like actually probably about 15 items, but I've lumped some things together as a project. And of this breakdown, we had 4 hand knit from start to finish pairs of socks, and I finished 2 pairs of socks on my circular sock machine, which is it means that I had cranked the tube and I've cut in at the heels and the toes at a very minimum, and possibly also have hand knit the cuff along the top. I created 4 scrunchies using this yarn here. I don't have any of them handy to show you, on my Centro knitting machine, and that yardage is not counted in my tally for the year. I made 2 hats, and I also successfully finished 2 shawls. So that's my big overview. Let's go into the specifics of some of the projects. So my first finished object for 2024 was this pair of socks here that I made out of Ash and Eve Designs yarn. I called these my 2024 socks. They were I cast them on to have some school knitting. I have not yet worn them. I think they're too pretty, and every time I wear hand knit socks and I wash them, they fade, and I don't want to do that yet. So the pattern I used for this was just like a basic vanilla sock with a heel flap and gusset heel. I don't think I actually used a particular pattern for that one. The next project that I made was, and I made 2 versions of this hat this year, the basic beanie by Tin Can Knits. The first one was for my sister. She recently moved to South Australia, which is much colder than where we live, so I needed to make her a hat, or I wanted to make her a hat for the winter. It's a DK weight yarn. I knit it in Louie and Lola. Then the next thing I made was my Pride and Joy, my first Pride and Joy for the year. It is the pressed flower shawl. It is a pattern by Savory Knitting, who is also Amy Christophers, also known as Savory Knitting. It is a mosaic knit project, and I knit this in yarn I picked up at Rhinebeck in 2022. This was my favorite project until about November, when it was kind of dethroned or tied second. You can see the slips and stuff at the back here. I love this project. Funnily enough, I don't know what I did or how I did it, but this project where I talked about this as a finished object was my highest video viewed on YouTube ever. It got about 2,500 views. For interest, I get about 200 views on a kind of on this style of episode video. So I don't know what happened, what I said, what hashtags I used that were different, but holy dooly, people like to watch it. So that was interesting for me, but this was honestly one of my favorite projects. It was so great to finally use the yarn that I had like painstakingly traveled around Europe and then went to Rhinebeck to find for this particular project. I had it in mind. The next thing that I finished was a pair of socks I knit for my mum. I gave them to her for Mother's Day, and they were out of this yarn here. I tested the pattern and it was called the Canberra sock, and that was designed by Kath Martin, who is Mindful Melbourne maker. I have knit another pair of socks from Kath's Designs, which I will show you later in the episode. So I don't have those to show you because I gave them to my mum. They were this fingering weight yarn from Ash and Eve, and I held it double The next thing that I made was these pair of socks. They're also a DK weight sock. The pattern is called the Blueberry Waffle Sock. It's a free pattern on Ravelry and on the internet, I think. And I knit probably the medium size. I would say this yarn is a Homespun House. It was a club colorway from 2017 that I received in a fiber share swap from my friend Ricky in America. And I knit these mostly, I think I started them on grade 12 camp or retreat this year, and then it took me a while to finish them, but that was fun. I enjoyed those a lot. Then I made my beanie for Ben, which is also another basic beanie. My friend Ben is a couple of years older than me. He was diagnosed with cancer early this year, and I wanted to make him something that was nice and soft and easy to wear while he was he lives in kind of central coast New South Wales, sort of, and their winters are definitely colder than we've got here, so I wanted to make him something to keep his head warm, either during chemo or, you know, just in winter. So I had made that one and sent that down to him as well. My next big make, I think, when I look at this, was excuse me, 2 pairs of socks on my circular sock machine, which I may or may not have already talked about. Talked about my 2 hats. I have 1 more shawl project and then 1 more pair of socks. This is tied for my next favorite make of the year. The pressed flowers in this one are absolutely it. This is the Turtle Dove. It is a pattern by Sari Nordland. I have washed and blocked it this week, so please ignore the 2 final tails that I have not yet woven in. This pattern was stunning. It was a bit slow going at first, and then I left it to hibernate for a bit, and then I basically finished like 2/3, 3/4 of it in about a 2.5 week period, because oh my god, I just started knitting it and it's so soft. The yarn is from 3 Cats Yarn. Impractical for where I live, but just stunning and beautiful, and I cabled and bobbled and used a suri. Chef's kiss. Loved it. Would I make another? Probably not, just in terms of like practicality for where I live and the size, but I love the motifs and everything. So in a different iteration perhaps, but as this small size of a project, probably not for me. The final thing that I finished this year, other than the scrunchies, which I don't know if I've talked about, I think I did, is this last pair of socks. These socks were my Advent socks for this year. I finished them on the 2nd of January, so technically they're not a 2024 make, but I knit the majority of them in 2024. I cast them on Christmas, 1st day of December. This is an undyed yarn from Nundle Woolen Mills. I knit 2 full repeats of the striping pattern before I put in the heel, and I broke it off really intentionally, so I would just have like this, excuse me, rose gold color on the top, and then you can see a little bit in that little gusset picking up section, but then I just really didn't want to break up the striping pattern, which can be tricky to do when you use self-striping yarn and not an afterthought heel. But I managed. I knit them concurrently for the most part. So that's folded so you can see the heel flap and gusset, and then if we just look, it's cohesive the whole way along. Beautiful pattern, super well written, beautiful yarn. I've said this on this podcast many times. Susan is one of my all-time favorite dyers of yarn, particularly self-strapping. I think she's extremely talented, and I love using her wool or her yarns for my makes. Let's just do a quick, what am I going to make in 2025? I have put a lot of thought into this. The one thing that is certain that I'm working on is my Zigzag Zen blanket. I'm hosting a bougie blanket make-along in 2025. So basically what that means is knit a blanket in some yarn this year. Use the hashtag, share it on Ravelry if you had Instagram. Excuse me. So you could do that and join us. That will be fun. I'm show you what I've done so far. And then we'll sign off for the 2024 in review. I've finished sections 1 and 2. I'm halfway through section 3. It's growing quite quickly. The yarn I'm using was from an advent swap I did with some friends in 2022. These colours I've knit so far are from Crystal Knits, and then next up I'm using the colours that were gifted to our little friend group, or our friend group, by Ali from Fiberbound. My colours were the next day, basically what I did when we did our swap was everyone sent me their yarns and then I split them up into their smaller sections, I guess, like into their 25 grams. 25? Yeah, there ended up being 4 of us. One of our friends had to pull out sort of last minute. So the skeins we have are all big, which is good for this project because towards the end it will take longer. But I think, yeah, I did Crystal's for days 1 to 6. Then we had Ali, then mine, and then Mel. But I'm going to do, I think, Ali's, then Mel's, and then mine. Or a little swap just because I like the two together to be somewhat cohesive in their colouring. That's my goal. So yeah, I would like to make maybe a pressed flowers cardigan or a pressed flowers vest. I don't know how much wear I would get out of the vest, but I feel like that would be fun knit. So that's on my mind. And I will probably make some more socks. I feel like that would be a good idea to have something at work going, which I kind of plan to do this year and did a little bit, but I could definitely be knitting more at other times in the year. So yeah, that is it. That is my 2024 wrap up. Over 3,500 kilometers of yarn. We'll probably end up pretty similar with that. This year, particularly with the bougie blanket make along for me, maybe gonna crochet a blanket, but yeah, who knows. Thanks so much for joining me over this year. I appreciate your spending some time with me. I know everyone's lives are busy and our YouTube podcast market is completely saturated now. It's really tricky to fit watching everyone in, so if you have watched all the way through to now or any time in the last 6 years, I really appreciate it. And I want to thank you for spending some time with me. I hope you have a blessed and wonderful 2025 with lots of fibercraft and crafting and just generally a great time. Alright, that's it from me for now. Hopefully this is the second time I'm recording this that it works. See you on the internet. Bye.